Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Dashen, Usman. The headlines at this hour. Nigeria's president to attend inauguration of Senegal's president-elect. Rockets strike home of Prime Minister's nephew in Libya. Herder and farmer clashes leave 23 dead in Chad. Details shortly. We begin in West Africa, where Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja on Tuesday for Dakar, Senegal, to attend the inauguration of Senegal's president-elect Bassirou Faye. A press statement by the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, on Monday, said the president's trip is at the invitation of the Republic of Senegal. President Tinubu, who is the chairman of the Economies of West African States, ECOWAS, Authority of Heads of State and Government, will join other regional leaders to witness the inauguration at the Diaminiado Exhibition Center. He will be accompanied on the trip by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tugar, and other senior government officials. The president is expected to return to Nigeria after the conclusion of the inauguration. Some residents of Kebbi State attacked a government warehouse at Bayankara area of Birnin Kebbi, the state capital, on Saturday night and carted away food items. The hoodlums, who defied security operatives stationed at the warehouse, also broke into some private warehouses and shops in the area and stole food items. They also looted a broken-down truck loaded with assorted grains meant for distribution in Birnin Kebbi. Attacks on warehouses had occurred at the Federal Capital Territory Abuja and Suleja in Niger State. The chairman of the Food Vendors Association at Bayankara Market in Birnin Kebbi, Muhammadu Gwadongwaji, said some shops and warehouses of traders were also set on fire by some youths. In the meantime, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kuka, has criticized the mode of distribution of palliatives to Nigerians amidst the severe hardships facing the country. Following the removal of fuel subsidy, among other economic policies, governments at all levels have implemented palliative measures. Now, such measures include distributing food items to the vulnerable in an effort to alleviate the hardship. Reacting, Bishop Kuka faulted the distribution of palliatives, adding that the people most often don't get them. He noted that a good part of the money meant for such is always stolen. Now, besides the issue of palliative, Kuka spoke on the country's need for healing. He urged the government to fix insecurity issues in the country. Earlier, public affairs analyst and team lead Platforms Africa, Adeola Yusuf, joined us to discuss this.
Anytime we have a situation like that, three sets of people are usually among those that, will go to that to loot those facilities. The first set of people are the people that are genuinely in need. Whether we like it or not, we cannot, look the other way around and say that whoever that are going to, partake in that activity, in that looting, will be people that, do not have the interest of the government at heart. There are some people that were there that day that were genuinely in need. And how do you know these people? They do not have any other thing at home to eat. So whatever they got there to do, be what they'll just pick, to eat for that moment. The second set of people are people that are, a lot of people have heard from, reports, social reports and academic reports. People that will go there to loot and sell the loot that they have, gone there to acquire. Oh, okay. So, and there won't be any difference between them and, people in government that they have been condemning. Or remember that, a lot of people will say that, okay, why would government officials, keep palliatives that were meant for people at some private or public facilities without truly distributing such palliative to people? So there's no difference between those that have gone there to loot those resources and
the Joint Action Committee on Non-Violence Movement has called for an investigation into the debt profile of Kaduna State, including the non-payment of contractual liabilities by the previous administration. Now, the group, in collaboration with 27 other civil society organizations, took to the streets of Kaduna, the state capital, calling on the state government to ensure that the matter is not swept under the carpet. Amading Uyi reports.
The protesters took to the streets of Kaduna, located in Nigeria's northwestern region, carrying several placards expressing their displeasure. They say the debt burden of the state is affecting the effective administration of the state.
The state received allocation of 10 billion naira from the federation account for the month of March, out of which 7 billion was deducted to service debt left by the previous administration. The balance of 3 billion is not enough, as you are already aware, for the governor to pay salaries and other financial obligations of the state.
They also raised an alarm over the contractual liabilities affecting the payment of salaries, saying this will affect the livelihoods of residents in the state.
With a huge debt burden totaling $587 million, 85 billion naira, and 115 contractual liabilities, thereby making it difficult for the state government to pay salaries and contractors' debt obligations.
We are parents, we have children at home. It will affect our children. It will affect the livelihood completely of a family, because that salary is what all families depend on. Even with the salaries they manage, it doesn't go anywhere, not to talk of not even having salary at all.
They called for a forensic audit of the state's accounts and other financial transactions by the former government.
Investigate the depleted resources of the state treasury. A forensic audit of investigations should be set up to find out the status of the IGR in the state. That the task force should be constituted to recover all monies and government assets from the former political appointees and former State House of Assembly members and the likes. That anybody found wanting for the investigation should have his assets confiscated and forfeited to the state government.
The protesters say several contracts were awarded by the previous administration, for which many of them are believed to be ghost projects. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
You're still watching News Central now. We'll return after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Disability activists across Nigeria are speaking out against the recent alleged discrimination faced by Debola Daniel, son of former Ogun State Governor Otumba Gbenga Daniel, at a KFC outlet inside the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. Daniel, who uses a wheelchair, was reportedly humiliated and denied entry into the restaurant by staff. The incident led to the Federal Airports Authority temporarily shutting down the KFC branch. Disability rights groups say they will no longer tolerate such discriminatory acts against persons with disabilities in public spaces. They're calling for strict enforcement of the Disability Act of 2012 and sanctions against perpetrators as a deterrent. In a statement, the immediate past president of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, Ekaite Umar, condemned the KFC incident, describing it as completely unacceptable.
About what happened, sincerely speaking, right now, the Commission, we are worried about this type of high-level discrimination that happened in that organization. And for the fact that an institution like this, backed by law, we have already dispatched an invitation to the management of KFC to appear for investigation. We have to dig out deeply to find out the root cause of the problem, the behavior of the sales girls. We have to find out if it is backed up by their own policy. Then we have to compel them to review the policy issue, so that we have to make it across board, and we are going to send all this type of signal to all other marketing agencies and all other businesses to make sure that they are compliant with the provision of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act is total.
Nigeria's National Commission for Persons with Disabilities says that it has invited the management of Lagos-based fast food restaurant KFC over allegations of discrimination to persons living with disabilities. Now, this followed an incident in Lagos where the management was accused by the son of former Ogun State Governor Gbenga Daniel of refusal to attend to him because of his condition and stating clearly that wheelchairs were not allowed within the restaurant. The executive secretary of the commission says that an investigation has already commenced and the commission will ensure that organizations in the country comply with Nigerians' laws against discrimination of persons with disabilities. Earlier, Senior Registrar, Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta, Dr. Adewumi Enoch, was on the news and shared his thoughts.
Things like this could actually lead to someone having anxiety, could lead to someone having depression, could lead to some sort of self-esteem issues, and then could lead to depression, which could lead to someone thinking of committing suicide. So if someone feels like, okay, I cannot go somewhere in my environment and feel accepted like just every other person who is there, then people can actually lapse into depression, anxiety, and so many other things that I have mentioned, and it could lead to them even thinking of committing suicide. Because what's the essence of being alive if you are not going to be allowed to do what other people would do? And when we talk about people with disability, we discover that they are not the ones who put themselves in that situation. Most of the times, these are things that they do not have control over. So even people who are now discriminating against them should also know that they could be in that situation tomorrow. So it's very, 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 very disheartening that something like this could happen. And when you start discriminating against people, they will find it difficult to be able to speak out and reach out to people when it comes to matters of their health. So these are things that discriminating against people who have disabilities can actually.
It is believed that Nigeria is currently facing a daunting socio-economic condition, one characterized by insurgency and economic recession. Unfortunately, many Lagos residents admit that with the challenging conditions, they find themselves enjoying only a few hours of sleep. Health practitioners say sleep deprivation makes the people vulnerable to different health challenges. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
According to Wikipedia Dictionary, sleep is a naturally recurring state of mind and body characterized by altered consciousness, relatively inhibited sensory activity, inhibition of nearly all voluntary muscles, and reduced interactions with surroundings. The effects of not sleeping are numerous. At the least, it can lead to low productivity at work. Unfortunately, according to experts, sleep deprivation, especially when built up for up to 20 hours consistently, may not be fully reversed.
Long-term consequences of chronic sleep deprivation or poor sleep patterns may include increased risk of chronic health conditions such as obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and hypertension, mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and mood disorders. You can also have impaired.
At times I sleep by 2 o'clock a.m. because of the stress. The stress on Nigeria itself is enough, not to talk of Lagos.
According to Wikipedia Dictionary, sleep is a naturally recurring state of mind and body characterized by altered consciousness, relatively inhibited sensory activity, inhibition of nearly all voluntary muscles, and reduced interactions with surroundings. The effects of not sleeping are numerous. At the least, it can lead to low productivity at work. Unfortunately, according to experts, sleep deprivation, especially when built up for up to 20 hours consistently, may not be fully reversed.
Long-term consequences of chronic sleep deprivation or poor sleep patterns may include increased risk of chronic health conditions such as obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and hypertension, mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and mood disorders. You can also have impaired immune functions and increased susceptibility to chronic diseases. There's also reduced quality of life and overall well-being.
According to the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, it was discovered in 2016 that 40% of Nigerians have a sleeping problem. One can only imagine what the figures are now.
You see, this sleep of a thing is totally out of it. You can't sleep comfortable in your own zone anymore. Just because the stress out there is too much these days.
For me, I don't want to sleep less than 6 hours in a day. So I think that's the minimum I want to go because I understand the importance of sleep.
I don't sleep much because of my job. Sometimes I'm almost 4 hours. But if I'm not on duty, I sleep. I sleep normal.
By prioritizing healthy sleep habits and making lifestyle adjustments, individuals can improve their sleep patterns and overall sleep quality, leading to a better health and well-being.
The relationship between sleep and productivity is a symbiotic one. If you want to be productive, you need to sleep well. Trying to do the opposite leads to significantly low productivity, evidenced in work-related errors, forgetting important details and facts, and ultimately impact a person's creative abilities when they are highly needed. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
In the spirit of Easter season, Region 11 of the Redeemed Christian Church of God in Lagos put together an oratorio on Sunday. Now, the event featured hymns and prayers tied around the essence of Easter. News Central's Jadel Simon was there to experience the celebration firsthand.
Easter holiday is usually a time of reflection and celebration for Christians all around the world. Today, we are live at the Redeemed Christian Church of God for an experience of the Easter. We're going to be treated to an orchestra experience. Want to see more about this? Follow me.
If Jesus did not rise, then all the talk about Christianity is vain. So for us, it's about the risen Christ and his impact on us. But after joy, it's a time to really think about the sacrifice of Jesus that brought this. And then for each and every one to say, do I have the life that he came to give us? It's a time of reflection and a time for decision making.
The only hope we have as Christians is that Jesus died and rose again. And so his resurrection is what has made us to be who we are. So we need to celebrate him, thank him for laying his life for us and for rising again, making us to be above every other thing.
It's a time for reflection because what he did for us, no other person, even my mother, my father couldn't do it. So for him to must have been there on the cross of Calvary, that rugged cross, it means a lot for me.
It has indeed been an amazing experience live here at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Region 11. The orchestra was amazing. The audience were captivated. Until next time, I'm Jadel Simon. This is News Central.
You're still watching News Central now. Coming up after the break, herder and farmer clashes leave 23 dead in Chad. We'll bring you details after the break. Do stay. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Rand Show is undoubtedly one of Johannesburg's most iconic events, bringing priceless childhood memories. The biggest consumer lifestyle show features a captivating blend of entertainment, innovation, and discovery. From exciting live performances to cutting-edge installations, the Expo offers an adventure for the entire family. News Central's Bongani Siziba gives us the story.
Another unforgettable experience for job bakers and those who come from far to experience the fun of Rand Show. Every year, the police band never disappoints with their heartwarming performances that always delights the audiences with their talent and artistry, creating lasting memories for all those who attend. Here is a consumer lifestyle exhibition that brings together entrepreneurs, entertainers, and individuals from a wide array of industries.
I think the rent show is very important because there are so many opportunities here, and we as an exhibitor, we can find our customers here. Because you can see our main products is laundry capsules, and South Africa is quite a new market for us, and we want to explore more opportunities.
It's quite important because it gives us the space, or it gives us the platform where we are able to showcase what we offer, what packages we have, and the hidden gems that we have around KZN and in South Africa.
Students also have an opportunity to explore vocational prospects and gain valuable insight into potential career paths as they engage with industry experts and discover the endless possibilities that awaits them. The military demonstrations showcasing the precision and skills of service members as they display their equipment and tactics, providing unique glimpse into the world of defense and security, and also highlighting dedication and expertise of the armed forces.
And it's my first time here at the rent show, and I learned so much about soldiers and how they fight. And I came here to have fun with family and friends.
Since I want to go into the medical field, I learned in the military side that you can pursue a career in the military with health, and you can study there.
Entrepreneurs showcase their latest creations, eager to connect with consumers and share their stories of inspiration. For the young ones at heart, the Run Show offers a world of fun and adventure with amusement rides and engaging activities that spark imagination and creativity, creating cherished moments for young minds.
I enjoyed going on the roller coaster, and I enjoyed going on the big slides.
This place, I love it because it has lots of cool rides, places where you can buy stuff like sweets, candy, lots of things here. It's very fun here.
Run Show, a place where business meets fun, where excitement, creativity, and exploration convene to create an unforgettable experience for all those who attend. In Johannesburg, for News Central, Wangani Siziba.
The Electoral Commission of South Africa has upheld an objection against former President Jacob Zuma's candidature in the upcoming elections. The commission said it has notified Zuma's Mkhonto Wesizwe party that he is not eligible to contest for a seat in parliament. Now, South Africa's constitution does not allow any individual convicted for more than a year to hold public office. In July 2021, Zuma was sentenced to 15 months in jail for contempt of court for refusing to testify before a judicial commission investigating corruption during his nearly decade-long presidency. He was, however, released from prison on medical parole after just 2 months to serve his sentence under house arrest. The Electoral Commission said Zuma has now until April 2nd to appeal against his ineligibility. Now, to discuss this, I'm joined by political analyst Professor Sipho Sete. Hello, Prof. Thank you so much for joining me at this time.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
All right, now perhaps let's start, by what it means for his supporters who had put him as their candidate. Do you think that Zuma could have anticipated this already as a former president?
I think both the former president, Jacob Zuma, and his supporters understood very well that this might be a position that the IEC may take. But what is also important is that there are two positions that one would try to summarize in terms of why they took the position that they took in listing him as part of the list of people who are going to go to parliament.
Okay.
The first is that Zuma came top on the list, which on its own indicates the level of support that he enjoys among the people who support this party. So effectively, it shows that Zuma is not a spent force, because the list is compiled based on the submission of the members of Mkhonto Sizwe. The second aspect is that the jailing of the former president was itself very problematic. So by submitting the name of Jacob Zuma, this would end up forcing that the matter of his incarceration be reopened. And when it gets reopened, all the shenanigans that took place, and also the fact that he was incarcerated without trial, it will remind people of the apartheid years, where the apartheid regime used detention without trial as one of its repressive instruments. And if that gets opened, then it will be very embarrassing for the Constitutional Court. Because
all right, Prof.
we expect.
Yeah. But obviously, his name might have come as an objection from individuals according to electoral provisions. So in your own thoughts, where could this objection have come from?
Well, the objection would have come from anyone. Remember, Jacob Zuma was sentenced to 15 months. And according to our constitution, is that people can be elected in parliament, but those people who are elected should be individuals who have not been convicted of any crime. And if they are convicted of a crime, it should not be a crime that puts somebody for 15 months or for more than 12 months. And his conviction was 15 months. So the law on this matter is very clear. What is questionable is the fact that he has been found guilty and sentenced. So by objecting, Zuma will then have to, or his party will have to bring to a discussion the manner of his own incarceration. And the first, as I said, one is that this was a matter of contempt. It's not an issue of having committed a crime, like a crime in the ordinary sense of the word. So a case can be made in court that when the drafters of the Constitution drafted that clause, they didn't have in mind a civil case. They had in mind a criminal case. And secondly, we also have in our own court that nobody can be detained without a trial. And in this case, Zuma was convicted without any trial. So all these issues will then emerge. And there are two judges of the Constitutional Court who had accused their own colleagues of having acted in a manner that is unlawful. That is, there is no basis in law for them to have convicted Jacob Zuma. Secondly, they've also argued that what they have actually done is unconstitutional. But in the nature of things, the process moved without those issues being ventilated publicly or in a court of law. So this appeal by Jacob Zuma, if he does, or by the MK party, will reopen a can of worms. And South Africans will actually see that their Constitutional Court is not as clean as it pretends to be.
Okay. All right, Prof. Now, the Electoral Commission has actually said that Jacob Zuma actually has until 9th of April to be able to challenge this decision. Now, but do you see him doing that at all?
I'll be surprised if the party would not do that. I think, for me, this is part of a deliberate strategy to reopen the processes that led to his incarceration. And as I say, many scholars have actually found that the incarceration was itself problematic. And I do think it is very important that he should open it so that we do address this. It's very important that we close this matter, because for as long as it lingers, there will be instances that will force us to go back to that impugned decision by the Constitutional Court.
All right, now just before I let you go, Professor, now let's talk about how the MK party. Do you think that they have a plan to put the voters at ease and even leverage on the former president's popularity?
Well, there is no doubt that Jacob Zuma enjoys a lot of support, and this is why the ruling party has acted in a manner that is that shows that it's very paranoid and restless. We have seen many people who are disgruntled with the ANC joining Umkhonto Sizwe. We also have seen many people who had chosen to disconnect, say now we have a party that we can vote for. So effectively, it will bring about some of the issues that made the people who control the economy of this country to hate Jacob Zuma. That he called for radical economic transformation, which meant that political freedom was not going to be sufficient. And the people are saying, what has this freedom given us? We still live in a country where we are marginalized in the country of our birth. Africans still occupy less than 5% of the land of their forebears. And effectively, those issues will be on the table. And those are the issues that made those who control the economy to be very disgusted with Jacob Zuma and to make sure that he's actually dislodged from power. So the people who were disgruntled with the ANC and the people who were disgruntled with the post-1994 dispensation, they see in Zuma a person who is going to bring back the issue of the promise of democracy, which at the moment has not been fulfilled.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Professor Sipo Sete, for joining me and speaking on this. Thank you. Appreciate you for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, let's move to North Africa, where an attack targeted the home and office of the Libyan Prime Minister's nephew in Tripoli, leaving no casualties. One of the residences of Ibrahim Deiba, who also serves as an advisor to his uncle, Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Deiba, was damaged on Sunday by 2 rocket-propelled grenades. Now, according to reports, Ibrahim was not home when the 2 rockets hit his office and the roof of his adjacent villa in the Libyan capital's residential neighborhood of Hay al-Andalus. The 166th Brigade, an armed unit responsible for the area's security, immediately shut down the street and called in the firefighters. In Central Africa, at least 23 people were killed during late March clashes between herders and farmers in a region of southern Chad that frequently sees similar land disputes. Now, according to Chad's Communications Minister, Abdurrahman Koulamala, the fighting was set off by the assassination of a nomadic Arab-speaking herder and raged between March 17th and 21st in 3 villages in the southern fertile region of Moyenchari. Now, relatives and clan members of the dead man, who are based in the drier north of the country, led a punitive raid in the village they believed was responsible for the ambush that led to his death. The minister said calm and had returned Monday. You're still watching News Central now. Still ahead. Russia extends detention of U.S.-Russian journalists. Find out more after the break. Thank you for staying. Now, a Russian court on Monday extended until June 5th the pretrial detention of U.S.-Russian journalist Alsu Kumasheva, a journalist at the U.S.-funded Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, who faces 15 years in prison on charges of spreading false information, according to her employer. She was arrested last year for failing to register as a foreign agent. RFE-RL says she was subsequently charged with spreading false information under new censorship laws introduced after Russia launched its military offensive in Ukraine in 2022. Kumasheva edited a 2022 book titled Saying No to War, a collection of interviews and stories from Russians opposed to Moscow's campaign against Ukraine.
Жалобы по условиям содержания. Я хочу хотя бы под домашний арест. Это камера 5 квадратных метров на двоих. Нет горячей воды. Вместо унитаза дырка в полу. Нет даже полметра свободного пола, чтобы пройти. Фактически это 2 кровати и полка на стене. Нет стола. Обшарпанные стены. Ремонта, наверное, не было полвека.
Вот как бы есть жалобы на условия содержания, конечно, да. Они как бы не очень хорошие, поэтому мы в том числе и наставили на домашнем аресте. Потому что в данном случае домашний арест был бы очень приемлем для всех, потому что она бы находилась под контролем и находилась бы в домашней обстановке. То есть ее бы здоровью, по крайней мере, ничего не угрожало, и в том числе она бы находилась в тех условиях, которые как были бы приемлемы. Будем просить в апелляции, потому что считаем, что в данном случае мера пресечения, которая избрана, она является несправедливой.
China said it was paying close attention to the capsizing of a migrant boat off the coast of Mexico that left 8 of its citizens dead. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said at a regular press briefing the Chinese diplomats were working with Mexican authorities to further verify information on the victims.
中方高度重视有关船只倾覆事件。中国驻墨西哥使馆与墨方保持密切沟通，进一步核实遇难人员信息，为幸存中国公民提供协助，并请墨方加紧开展事件调查。驻墨使馆工作组已赶赴事发地，开展现场处置。
Now in France, we understand that 2 days after the discovery of little Emil's bones, dozens of investigators on Monday combed the surroundings of the hamlet of Hussaina in Abuja province, where this 2.5-year-old boy had disappeared in July. Commander of the Regional Gendarmerie, Pierre-Yves Bardi, says investigators are currently trying to understand the circumstances of the boy's death.
Hier, en fait, tous les moyens techniques ont convergé sur les Alpes de Haute-Provence, à savoir des équipes cynophiles du Centre national d'investigation cynophile en fait, de Gramma. Ce sont des chiens experts qui vont être capables en fait, d'apporter un concours vraiment précieux aujourd'hui. Et en particulier des chiens spécialisés dans les restes humains, la recherche de restes humains. Ah non, il n'y a pas de limite de temps sur les investigations. Tant que les enquêteurs auront besoin de travailler dans un environnement sécurisé, la zone sera...
In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has said that $1.5 billion foreign exchange inflow shortly after the monetary policy meeting, that's a committee meeting, has indicated a positive trend in Nigeria's forex market. CBN's efforts to stabilize the forex market are reflected in the Nigeria's appreciation, trading at 1,309 naira per dollar compared to 1,611 naira per dollar in March. Victor Alui, Senior Vice President and Head Investments, Sankore Global Investments, shared his thoughts on this on Business Edge.
It really remains to be seen what global shock that would be and what impact it would be. It'd be difficult to sit here and say, oh, there is this sort of global shock that may come. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria's economy is essentially on the mend. So it would not be it would not be a good thing to have a global shock at this time, because we are actually, carrying out policies that are necessary but painful to essentially turn the ship around. So I don't know what global shock might come, but I think that with the policies that we're seeing and the policies that are being implemented, with the cadence at which they are being implemented, I think that we're essentially.
The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission reports that Dangote Refinery and other local facilities struggled with insufficient feedstock. NUPRC's Chief Executive, Gbenga Komolafe, has tasked the Enforcement Committee to develop a plan for domestic crude oil supply obligation enforcement by Friday. On Business Edge today, Itoro Adedirong, a senior manager, tax, regulatory and people services at KPMG Nigeria, joined us.
What it essentially means is that we prioritize the local refineries. So instead of saying we're exporting all that we produce, we give preference to the local refineries. And what we do is that we give them feedstock before we export the rest, which means that they are able to refine based on what we have provided to them. Now, do we have enough? That's a second conversation. We are seeing a boost in terms of, we're seeing more investment in that space. But also, it's still not enough for Nigeria to meet its quota production because, as I know, we are doing less than we are supposed to be doing in terms of production quota. So we still don't have sufficient enough to be able to go round per se. But can it address? Yes, it is supposed to address. If followed strictly, it should address that concern, and we should still see local refineries have feedstock that they need to produce refined products. So it
Now in the world of sports, Nigerian international Bright Osai Samuel is one of 3 Fibonacci players who will appear at a disciplinary hearing of the Turkish Football Federation following a bus stop with Trabzonspor's fan, the TFF announced on Monday. Now, home supporters invaded the pitch at Trabzonspor Stadium after the final whistle of the Super League match on March 17th that Fibonacci won 3-2. The attacks took place after the Fibonacci players and coaching staff celebrated their victory. 26-year-old Osai Samuel punched one of the supporters who ran onto the pitch with his face masked, with Dutch defender Jaden Oosterwolde accused of kicking the same supporter. A third player will also appear before the disciplinary body along with 2 club employees for fighting. Meanwhile, Fenerbahce are set to vote on whether they will go through with the threat of withdrawing from the Super League on Tuesday, with the Turkish top-flight club's future hanging in the balance. Now, the club had announced last month that they would consider withdrawing from the league after their players were attacked by Trabzonspor fans during a match. Fibonacci will hold an extraordinary general meeting on Tuesday, at which their members will vote on a motion to withdraw the club from the league. Fenerbahce, who won their 19th league title in 2014, are second in the standings after 30 games, 2 points behind Galatasaray, and they're due to host Adana Demirspor on Wednesday. Now, still talking sports, Super Eagles midfielder Wilfred Ndidi played a key role today as Leicester City got their championship promotion charge back on track with a comeback 3-1 victory over in-form Norwich at the King Power Stadium. Gabriel Sara gave the visitors a shock lead after 20 minutes, while Kiernan Dewsbury Hall responded 13 minutes later from close range. Stevie Mvididi put Leicester in front after the break with a clever finish after beating Jack Stacey before Jamie Vardy added a third in stoppage time to seal the win. The victory was only the third in 8 league games for the Foxes and have put them back on top of the table, pending the results in the later games involving Ipswich and Leeds. The win also ended a run of 3 wins in a row for David Wagner's Norwich. Super Eagles striker Kelechi Iheanacho was on the bench for 90 minutes.
On hand from close range to head Leicester's equalising goal. His 11th of the season comes at such a crucial stage of the season. And before half-time, Leicester are level. The ball from the right kept alive by Mavididi and Dewsbury Hall.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Nigeria's president to attend inauguration of Senegal's president-elect. We also told you that rockets have struck home of Prime Minister's nephew in Libya. Finally, you heard that herder and farmer clashes have left 23 dead in Chad. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen. Usman.